Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Grivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Grivaradhari Jaya Yasodanandana Bhaja Janaranjana Yasodanandana Bhaja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Valnachari Yamuna Tira Valnachari Yamuna Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Grivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Grivaradhari Jaya Yasodanandana Bhaja Janaranjana Yasodanandana Bhaja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Tago Haribo 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 Nitago Haribo Nitai go Haribo 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 Nitago Haribo Nitago Jayam Vishnupada Paramahansa Parivrakracharya Sutra Sutta Sutta Ese Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jayam Vishnupada Paramahansa Parivrakracharya Sutra Sutta Sushma Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Pramsika Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Sri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyamakunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Vrindavan Dham Ki Mayapur Dham Ki Dwaka Dham Ki Jagannath Dham Ki Gangamaya Manamayi Ki Tulsi Devi Bhakti Devi Ki Nitai Gaurachanda Ki Sri Krishna Balaram Ki Sishara Samasunda Ki Harinam Sankirtan Ki Samabeta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Nitai Gopiyamanande. All glory to the Assembly devotees, all glory to the Assembly devotees, all glory to the Assembly devotees, all glories to the lotus feet of Sri Sri Guruva Gauranga. Agyana Timendasha Ganangana Salakaya Taksu Sumalitan Yena Tasmashi Gurave Namahan Sri Chaitanya Manobishtan Stapita Yena Bhutale Swayarupa kadamaya dadati swapadantikam. Vandeham Sri Guru Siyutam Padakamala Sri Guru Vaishnavascha. Sri Rupam Sakajatam Sakana Raghunata Bitantam Sajivan Sadvitam Savadutam Parijana Saita Sri Krishna Chaitanya Devan. Sri Radha Krishna Padasahagana Lalita Sri Vishakhavitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gorange Radha Vrindavanisware Vishabhanu Sutta Devi Panamami Hari Priye Banchaka Patrubhyascha Kripasindi Bevacha Patitana Pavana Vibhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namah. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadara Sivashadi Gora Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Ananda Lila Maya Virgaya Emabadiva Chavisundaraya Tasva Maha Primarasa Pradaya Chaitanya Chandraya Namana Mastate. So I thank everyone for being here this evening for our Bhagavad Gita discussion, Bhagavad Gita class. So this is a conversation between Lord Krishna and Arjuna, his dear devotee. So we are in the chapter 10 of the Bhagavad Gita, which is Vibhuti Yoga, and text number 40. So it's on the board? 1040, okay. So, Lord Krishna, he has been describing his opulence, his various opulences. He has been describing this to Arjuna, how is basically is everything. So the law is everything, which means whatever you may see in this world, it's all connected with Lord Krishna. There is nothing that is beside him. So it's because Arjuna was very, very much interested about how Krishna is in everything. He was very much interested about all the various manifestations of the Lord. So Arjuna was very interested. So now the Lord has been describing to Arjuna how is the best of everything you can see. Is the Ganges, is the rishis, is so many, many things he has been describing to Arjuna. So now the Lord is now concluding these descriptions of his opulence. He's concluding the descriptions by telling Arjuna that in really there is no limitation about his opulence, his qualities. There is no limitation to it. So text 40, this is towards the end of the chapter 10. So we have it on the board here. So we read together. Nānto mama wait a minute, sorry. Nānto mama divyānāṁ. Nānto mama divyānām. Vibhūtīnāṁ paran-tapa. eṣaḥ tūddeśataḥ prokto. vibhūter vistaro mayā. Nānto asti mama divyānāṁ. Vibhūtīnāṁ paran-tapa. eṣaḥ tūddeśataḥ prokto. Vibhūter vistaro mayā. Nānto asti mama divyānām. Vibhūtīnāṁ param-tapa. eṣaḥ tūddeśataḥ prokto. Vibhūter vistaro mayā. eṣaḥ tūddeśataḥ prokto. Vibhūter vistaro mayā. Vibhūtīnāṁ param-tapa. Nor antaḥ, a limit. Asti, there is, mama, my, divyānāṁ, of the divine, vibhūtīnāṁ, opulences, paran-tapa, O conqueror of the enemies. eṣaḥ, all this, two, but, uddeśataḥ, as example, proktaḥ, spoken, vibhūteḥ, of opulences, vistaraḥ, the expanse, mayā, by me. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki. O mighty conqueror of enemies, there is no end to my divine manifestations. What I have spoken to you is but a mere indication of my infinite opulences. Translation, please repeat. O mighty conqueror of enemies, there is no end to my divine manifestations. What I have spoken to you is but a mere indication of my infinite opulences. Purport. As stated in the Vedic literature, although the opulences and energies of the Supreme are understood in various ways, there is no limit to such opulences. Therefore, not all the opulences and energies can be explained. Simply a few examples have been described to Arjuna to pacify his inquisitiveness. Nānto asti mama divyānāṁ, vibhūtīnāṁ param-tapa, eṣaḥ tūddeśataḥ prokto, vibhūter vistaraḥ mayā. So the Lord is explaining to Arjuna that is vibhūti. Vibhūti means its opulence. that his opulence is spread throughout the whole universe. Throughout the whole universe, his opulences are spread. So this chapter 10 is describing the complete opulence of the Supreme Lord. So actually the lost form, the antaḥ says, who is actually an expansion of Lord Balaram. Antaḥ says he has thousands of hoods, of heads. Now Antaḥ says he has been describing the transcendental qualities of the Lord with his 1,000 mouths. He has been describing them since time immemorial. He has been describing them non-stop. He has been describing, and he has not come to a conclusion. So you can just imagine. He has been describing the various qualities of the Supreme Lord, and he has not reached a conclusion. So how much more we can say, okay, let me glorify the Lord. Let me describe his various qualities. Even the Lord himself is telling Arjuna here that, look, I've told you so many things about myself, but still, this is just a mere indication of what my opulences are. Even though I've told you so many things, how I'm the ocean, the rivers, the plant and everything, the sky, everything, still, this is just a mere indication of myself. This is what Lord Krishna is telling his dear devotee Arjuna. And of course, Arjuna is a dear devotee of the Lord, and that's why Lord Krishna was driving his chariot. Because just as the devotees, they love to serve their master, they love to serve the Lord. Similarly, the Lord also enjoys service of his devotee. So you can just imagine, which means he's the perfect master. A perfect master, not only does he receive service from the servant, but he also renders service to his servant. So in this material world, there is no such a conception in the material world. Like, there is no such a conception that a master will be rendering service to his own servant. Normally, our experience in the material world is that a master is always a master. And a servant will always have to be submissive to the service of the master. That's our experience in the material world, correct? But the Lord, he enjoyed to serve his servant. He enjoyed to render service to his servant. Of course, it's not that the devotees are expecting it. They don't expect the Lord to serve them. But it's just that it's an exchange of love, because there is an exchange of love between the Lord and his devotees. So through this exchange of love, the Lord, he relish service of his devotees. He relish it. He relish this. So when Arjuna, at the beginning of Kurukshetra battle, so the Lord, when the Lord asked Arjuna, what does he want? What does he want from this battle? So Arjuna requested that, yes, I would like you, my dear Lord, to become my chariot driver on this battlefield. And Lord Krishna agreed. So, okay, I will become your chariot driver. I will become your chariot driver in this battlefield. And then, of course, before the battle of Kurukshetra, so this question and answers begins, whereby Arjuna is asking the Lord so many questions. about the supreme absolute truth, about the reality. And the Lord, as the perfect master, as the perfect teacher, is describing to Arjuna. So the Lord, he said that, yes, my opulence is unlimited. There is no end to my opulence. So therefore, I'm just giving you an indication only. So there is in the Lord Brahma was making a prayer to Lord Krishna. Lord Brahma was making a prayer to Lord Krishna. And this prayer was right here in Vrindavan. So Lord Brahma said, Gunatmanastapi gunam vimatum itavati nasya ka isireshya kalena yaiba vimitat sukarpai bu pansavake mihikad divyānāṁ. So Lord Brahma is saying that in time, a time may come in time, learned philosophers or scientists might be able to count all the atoms of the earth, the particles of snow, or perhaps even the shiny molecules radiating from the sun, the stars, and other luminaries. But among these learned men, who could possibly count the unlimited transcendental qualities possessed by you, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who have descended onto the surface of the earth for the benefit of all living entities? This is Lord Brahma is praying this way. This from the chapter 14 of the 10th canto Bhagavatam, whereby Lord Brahma is saying that a time may come when the learned people, the scientists, might be able to count all the molecules of the earth, or they count all the grains, all the sand of the desert. You can just imagine, trying to count every grain on the desert, every molecules, all the molecules of the sun rays, all the stars in the sky. You know, they are unlimited quantity in the sky. So a time may come when somebody may be able to count them. But still, if there could be a time when such a person can exist, still no one would be able to count, to estimate your qualities. No one would be able to estimate the extent of your qualities. Because when we say the Lord is unlimited, which means is antaḥ, is unlimited. So unlimited, there is no other qualification to it. It simply means unlimited means the Lord is unlimited. And it's unlimited in all categories. The living entities are limits, they're finite, but He is infinitesimal. And the Lord has unlimited energies, parasha shakti, vividaiva shruyate, sabhaviki bala gyana kiyacha. So He has unlimited energy. And with His unlimited energy, He pervades the whole creation. He pervades everything, the entire creation. So, Srila Sanatana Goswami, this is in the explanation to this verse. Srila Sanatana Goswami explains that Lord Krishna is Gunatma, the soul of all superior qualities, because He gives them life. For example, one may discuss in an abstract way such qualities as generosity, intelligence, and mercy. but they come to life only when a living person exhibits them. Thus, Lord Krishna is Gunatma because he descends to the material world and re-establishes religious principles by exhibiting all godly qualities himself and inspiring them in others. A living entity who develops the transcendental qualities found in the Lord receives immeasurable benefit and eventually goes with the Lord back to his own abode, where all living beings are liberated and fully endowed with the transcendental nature. And then Sanatana Goswami, he further explains that the Lord manifests a special spiritual quality for the benefit of each living entity. Since there are innumerable living entities within the confines of the material creation, the Lord manifests infinite qualities. Thus, every conditioned soul can appreciate the Supreme Lord in a particular way. So the example is given here that even if the most learned scholars could someday count the particles of earth, snow, and light, they will still fail to understand the qualities of the Lord. In this example, earth, snow, and light are progressively more subtle. Thus, it is to be understood that there is an increasing difficulty in counting their virtually infinite particles. So, just as it's impossible to count all the qualities of this world, all the different molecules, the atoms and everything, just as impossible to really count them, similarly, it is impossible to count all the infinite qualities of the Supreme Lord. It's just it's impossible. So it been said that the Parasya Shakti Vividavasuyate. Even the Lord in his own manifestation of Ananta says, he has been describing his own quality since eternity, and he has not come to an end. So that's why the devotees do not waste their time in trying to estimate the Lord's quality, the Lord's nature. Because everything about the Lord is infinite, is infinitely. There are 6 main opulences, which means there are 6 categories of the Lord's opulence, which are Ashvarayasya, what is that? Samagriyasya, Vijasya, Yasasya, Shaya. That the Lord is the supreme opulence, is full of opulence, is full of knowledge, is full of beauty, is strength, various qualities, but each of these is unlimited. There's just no limit to it. So the more we try to understand this, to that extent that we can actually become devotee of the Lord, because we have to understand that yes, the Lord is not limited. We have to understand that. So there was one time. It was Narada Muni. So Narada Muni was going to the spiritual world. Narada Muni is a transcendental spaceman. He's a transcendental spaceman. And he's always traveling back and forth between the material and spiritual world. He's always traveling back and forth. Narada Muni. So he was going to the spiritual world one time, and as he was traversing the earth, he he saw a Brahmana. And this Brahmana is a great learned person. It's a pandit. It's a learned person, a pandit. So the Brahman, when he saw Narada Muni passing, he said, "Oh, great sage, it's my good fortune that I have seen you." And he asked the sage that, "Where are you going?" So Narada Muni said, "I am going to Vaikuntha." So the Brahmana was very happy. "Oh, you are going to Vaikuntha, how wonderful. Okay, can you ask my Lord Narayan that how many more lifetime do I have to be in this material world? How many lifetime do I have to be in this material world before I can be liberated?" So Narada Muni said, "Yes, okay, I will ask Lord Narayan about your questions." And then as Narada Muni was going, he saw a cobbler, a shoemaker, very simple person, very simple. So when he saw the cobbler came running to Narada Muni and paid his Dandava Pranam to Narada Muni, greeted him very, very nicely. And then he asked Narada Muni, "Where is he going?" Narada Muni said he's on his way to the spiritual world. He's on his way to Vaikuntha planet. So the cobbler was very, very happy. And he asked, "Oh, by the way, can you ask my Lord how many more lifetimes do I have to be in this material world before I can attain liberation?" So Narada Muni said, "Yes, okay, I will ask the Lord." So Narada Muni, he reached the spiritual world, he reached Vaikuntha planet, and then he asked the Lord that, "Well, I saw these two devotees, one is a cobbler and one is a Brahman, and both of them have asked me to find out how many more lifetime they have to be in the material world." So Lord Narayan replied that for the Brahmana, you tell him that he's going to take another million lifetimes, at least million lifetimes before he can be liberated, at least 1 million lifetimes. And for the cobbler, you tell him that this is his last birth. This is his life. After this life, he's coming to me. He's going to come back to this. He's going to come to the spiritual world to me after this birth. So Narada Muni was very curious. He said, "How is that? How come? The Brahmana, such a learned person, great pandit, great teacher also. So how is it that it's going to take him millions and millions of lifetimes before he can be liberated?" And then the cobbler is a complete ignorant. He's a shoemaker, cobbler, and he's going to be liberated in this lifetime. So Lord Narayan replied that if they ask you what I was doing when you saw me, tell them that I was threading the eye of a needle with an elephant. I was taking an elephant, putting it through the eye of a needle, taking this side, that side. You can know that, there's a needle this way, and the elephant is this big. Elephant is huge, big elephant. The Lord said that, I tell them that I'm threading the eye of a needle with an elephant. You tell them this. So Narada Muni said, okay. So Narada Muni, he came back to the material world. He's a transcendental salesman. He goes back and forth. Of course, he has got material. He has a spiritual body, so he can go back and forth, material world, spiritual world, like that. So Narada Muni came back to the Earth planet. He came back. So he went to see the Brahman first. He went to see the Brahmana. And when he saw the Brahmana, so the Brahmana was so happy that, oh, you've come back from the spiritual world. Oh, wonderful that you've come back. So tell me, did you ask the Lord my question? Did you ask the Lord about how much longer it's going to take me to be in this material world? How many more lifetimes do I have to be here in this material world before I can go back to this, before I can be liberated from the material world? So now Muni replies, well, the Lord said, not for another millions of lifetimes. It's going to take you another millions of lifetimes before you can be liberated. So the Brahmana was surprised. He said, how is that? I'm a great Brahman. I'm a great Pandit. Teaching so many people. I'm a Sanskrit scholar, all these things. I perform sacrifice very nicely. How is it possible that it's going to take me another millions of lifetimes before I can be liberated? I don't think you've seen the Lord. Otherwise, you will not be coming with this answer to me. And by the way, when you saw the Lord, what was he doing? What was he doing when you saw him? So Narada Muni replied that, well, when I saw the Lord, he was threading an elephant. He was threading a needle with an elephant. He was taking an elephant and he was passing it through. So, and the Brahmana, when he heard this, he started laughing. He said, oh, see, I'm sure you have not seen the Lord. Otherwise, how is it possible? No one can do that. No, it's not possible to be threading an elephant, to be taking an elephant and be passing it through the eye of a needle. So you are simply lying, and then he chased Narada Muni away. He said, get out of here, get out of here. He chased them away. So, and of course, Narada Muni could see that this Brahmana, he has no faith. Even though he's a great Pandit, but no faith. And without having faith in the Lord, how can you be, liberated? How can you even be a devotee without having faith in the Lord? So, and then Narada Muni, he went to the cobbler. So he went to the cobbler, and then the cobbler was so happy to receive Narada Muni. He worshipped him nicely. He bathed Narada Muni's lotus feet with waters, agya, everything. He bathed his lotus feet. Welcomed the sage very nicely. I then asked this Narada Muni that, my dear Lord, I know you're just coming from the spiritual world. And by the way, what did the Lord say about how many more lifetimes do I have to be here in this material world? So Narada Muni replied, he said, well, the Lord said that this is your last life. At the end of this life, you are going to the spiritual world, you'll be liberated. So the cobbler was surprised. Said, at the end of this life, I'm going to be liberated? I don't know anything. How is it possible that I'm going to be liberated at the end of this life? I only know how to make shoes. I'm a cobbler. And by the way, when you saw the Lord, what was the Lord doing when you saw him? What was he doing? And then Narada Muni explained that, oh, when I saw the Lord, he was taking an elephant and he was passing it through the eye of a needle, going this way, back and forth. This was what the Lord was doing. So when the cobbler heard this, he was filled with ecstasy. He was jumping up and down, dancing. Oh, my Lord is so wonderful. My Lord is so wonderful. He can do the most amazing things. He can do the most wonderful. He can do the most extraordinary things. So he was dancing, jumping up and down. So Narada Muni became curious. He said that, oh, do you believe that someone could be treading the eye of a needle with an elephant? The Lord could be doing that? He said, yes, of course I believe that. Just see, with a one small seed, a banyan tree can grow. with a small seed, a banyan tree can grow and can become a big tree that can cover an entire city. If a small seed can develop to such an extent, so how much more the Lord? This is threading the eye of a needle with an elephant. This is insignificant activities for the Lord. This is a small thing for the Lord to do. The Lord can do the most amazing thing. He can do the most extraordinary things. So Narada Muni could see the extent of faith, the deep faith that this cobbler has. That this cobbler, is a great devotee. He's a great devotee of the Lord, and he has such a great faith. So therefore, the Lord is telling Arjuna that yes, my quality is unlimited. My quality is unlimited. My quality is extraordinary. There is just no limit to them. So therefore, my dear Arjuna, I have simply given you an indication. I have simply given you an indication of what my qualities could be. At the end of this chapter, whereby Lord Krishna told Arjuna, he said, Yat vibhūtīnāṁ sattvāṁ sriman ujitan evava. What's that verse? Yat vibhūtīnāṁ sattvāṁ sriman ujitan evava. Tatad evava gachan tvam mama tejo asambhava. So therefore, the Lord is telling Arjuna that, I've been describing all this to you. I've been making all this, describing about the beautiful creation, about the wonderful manifestation. He said, but what is the use of all these descriptions? What is the use of all these descriptions? Because with a single fragment of myself, with a tiny spark of myself, I pervade the entire creation. I pervade the entire creation with a tiny spark of myself. With a tiny spark of my splendor, of myself, this entire creation is pervaded. It's only a tiny spot that this whole world is created. This whole world is created. Just like the Lord, in his manifestation, in his form of Mahavishnu, lying down in the ocean of milk, millions and millions of universes are coming out of his body. Millions and millions of universes coming out of his body, out of the pore of his skin. So many millions of universes are there coming out. Even though many universes are coming out, the Lord doesn't feel it. He doesn't feel it. He doesn't feel it that many universes coming out, and then they will stay out there for some time, and then at the end again, they will again go back and enter his body. And the Lord he just rests and he just in his own realm. So therefore, the wonderful Ishopanishad text, which says Om Punam Ada Punamidam Punan Puna Evasasati. What's that? Puna da ayat, what's that? Puna Evasasati. Om Punam Ada Punam. Punam means complete. Om Punam Ada Punamidam. That the Lord is complete. And this, even though so many manifestations are coming from him, still the Lord remains complete. The Lord is complete always. Many things are coming from him, just like, whereas in this material world, when we take something out of something, there is diminution, which means there's something that is less. But the Lord, no matter what comes from him, the Lord still remains full. He still remains complete. So that's why there is always the difference between the living entities and the Lord. The big difference is always there. The living entities, they are anu. Anu means tiny sparks, whereas the Lord is vibhu. Vibhu means full, complete. So therefore, the Lord said, Yatya vibhūtīnāṁ satun, sima ujitan, ebaba. So this is a very wonderful chapter that the Lord explained his various opulences. And these opulences, they themselves, they are unlimited. And the Lord said in Arjuna that yes, he mentioned the word ananta, means this is my opulences is unlimited. They are ananta. So which means whatever you've heard, you really don't have to dwell so much on it. It's not that what I've told you, that is my everything. No. This is just a tiny portion of myself. And just as Lord Brahma is praying that a time may come when that is maybe a time may come. It doesn't mean that it's going to be a time. It's a time may come when somebody may be able to count all the molecules of the earth, or the rays of the sun, or the stars in the sky. A time may come that somebody may be able to count a learned person, but no one will ever be able to count the Lord's qualities, because his quality is unlimited. It's always it's ever increasing. It's always increasing day by day, but every day. Just like his pastimes. His pastime is also unlimited. The Lord performs unlimited pastimes. And no matter how much devotee describe the pastimes of the Lord, no matter how much they describe his pastimes, they will never come to an end of it. They will never come to an end of describing the Lord's pastimes. Because his pastimes is going on in every moment, every moment. His pastimes are going on. And not just one universe, his pastimes are going on in so many, many, many universes, unlimited universes. The Lord's pastimes are going on. And that's why when Lord Kapila, he was telling his mother, he says, Tata Pasanga Mama Vijasam Vido Babanturi Kana Rasayana Kata. He said that my devotees, they get together. Satan means the devotees. In their association, what did they do? They describe my extraordinary activities, my transcendental qualities, my pastimes among themselves. And then when they discuss such topics among themselves, what happened? By hearing about these nectarian topics of the Lord, it becomes rasayana, something that is very, very joyful, that is very, very tasty, very, very tasty hearing, because they are drinking the nectar of the Lord's pastimes. Just like when you're eating this ras malai, a very nice Bengali sweet, it's so nice that when you're eating it, you don't want to stop eating it. So when devotees hear the topics of the Lord's pastimes, when they describe the pastimes of the Lord among themselves, they don't want to stop listening to it. And that's why Srimad Bhagavatam was spoken for 7 days, 7 nights. It was spoken for 7 days and 7 nights, and it was non-stop. And Sukadeva Goswami was speaking, Parikshit Maharaj was hearing for 7 days and 7 nights, and nobody, and not just between those two personalities, there were also thousands of sages who also sat and listening to the narration of Sukadeva Goswami, and no one was tired of hearing. Everybody was simply sat and listening, and it's a nectar at every moment. And because it's a nectar at every moment, nobody was feeling the need for eating or sleeping or drinking or feeling, everybody was so absorbed in hearing the nectarine pastimes of the Lord for 7 days and 7 nights. Because everything about the Lord is so wonderful. His pastime is so wonderful. It's so joyful, his pastimes. So therefore, no one ever get tired of hearing the Lord's pastimes. No one ever get tired of hearing the Lord's qualities. So this is what's been described, what's been mentioned in this about the last verses of this 10th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. So anyway, thank you for listening. Were you able to hear me? Is it too much echo? Did you hear? You hear? Okay. So anybody ask question about all right. People don't like to ask question here. So were you able to hear me? Did you hear? Okay, thank you. So anyway, thank you very much for listening. It's nice that you're coming to the Bhagavad Gita class every night. So thank you for listening. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki, Krishna Balaram ki. Hare